God message for you today. Good morning. Wishing you a day filled with the sweet melodies of God's goodness, the harmony of His mercy, and the rhythm of His grace orchestrating a beautiful day. Type Amen. The mercy of the true Guru is showering constantly, but the eligibility of the soul is essential. Now the question arises, how does one become eligible? When a disciple consistently disciplines his mind in the shelter of the perfect true master, then through a lesson in humility. Under Nebuchadnezzar's rule, Babylon expanded and grew in power and fame. The world looked to him as unto a god, and he unwisely started believing his own press. Is not this great Babylon that I have built for a royal dwelling by my mighty power and for the honor of my majesty? He congratulated himself. Yet in a flash, Nebuchadnezzar lost his kingdom and lived like a wild beast. It was only after a period of severe humbling that he came to his senses. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of Heaven, and those who walk in pride, He is able to put down type. I claim it if you believe. He deserves all our love and affection, and we must remember that He rules over all the stronghold of pride. By Beth Moore. My name is Pride. I am a cheater. Cheat you of your God-given destiny because you demand your own way. I cheat you of contentment because you deserve better than this. I cheat you of knowledge because you already know it all. I cheat you of healing because you're too full of me to forgive. I cheat you of holiness because you refuse to admit when you're wrong. I cheat you of vision because you'd rather look in the mirror than out a window. I cheat you of genuine friendship because nobody's going to know the real you. I cheat you of love because real romance demands sacrifice. I cheat you of greatness in heaven because you refuse to wash another's feet on earth. I cheat you of God's glory because I convince you to seek your own. My name is Pride. I am a cheater. You like me because you think I'm always looking out for you. Untrue. I'm looking to make a fool of you. God has so much for you, I admit. But don't worry, if you stick with me, you'll never know. God is the hope of the entire humanity. God says, I am mankind's only salvation. I am mankind's only hope. And even more, I am He on whom the existence of all mankind rests. Without me, mankind will immediately come to a standstill. Without me, mankind will suffer catastrophe and be trampled underfoot by all manner of ghosts. The truth for mankind is something that they cannot lack in their lives, that they can never do without. You could also say that it's the greatest thing. Although you can't look at it or touch it, its importance to you cannot be ignored. It is the only thing that can bring peace to your heart. We see none of Satan's evil revealed in God. All that God does and reveals is wholly beneficial and helpful for man, is wholly done to provide for man, is full of life and gives man a road to follow and a direction to take. From when man first had social sciences, the mind of man was occupied by science and knowledge. Then science and knowledge became tools for the ruling of mankind, and there was no longer sufficient room for man to worship God, and no more favorable conditions for the worship of God. The position of God sunk ever lower in the heart of man. The appearance of the rainbow, lime, and time again announces to mankind and calls his attention to the covenant between the Creator and mankind. In the continual appearances of the covenant between the Creator and mankind, What is demonstrated to mankind is not a rainbow or the covenant itself, but the immutable authority of the Creator. For any person born into this world, their birth is necessary and their death inevitable, and no one can surpass this course. If one wishes to depart from this world painlessly, if one wants to be able to face life's final juncture with no reluctance or worry, the only way is to leave no regrets. And the only way to depart without regrets is to know the Creator's sovereignty, to know His authority, and to submit to them. Only in this way can one stay far from human strifes, from evil, from Satan's bondage. God does not always chasten and discipline man, nor does He always show tolerance and patience. Rather, He provides for each person in different ways, at their different stages and according to their different statures and caliber. Since we are searching for the footprints of God, we must search for God's will, for the words of God, for the utterances of God, for where there are the new words of God, there is the voice of God, and where there are the footsteps of God, there are the deeds of God. Where there is the expression of God, there is the appearance of God, and where there is the appearance of God, there exists the truth, the way, and the life. Because people do not recognize God's orchestrations and God's sovereignty, they always face fate defiantly, with a rebellious attitude, and always want to cast off God's authority and sovereignty and the things fate has in store, hoping in vain to change their current circumstances and alter their fate. But they can never succeed. They are thwarted at every turn. This struggle, which takes place deep in one's soul, is painful. The pain is unforgettable, and all the while one is frittering away one's life. Owing to your experience, the price you paid, and the work of God, you are able to develop an unbidden love for God. Then you are freed from the influence of Satan and live in the light of God's Word. Only when you have broken free from the influence of darkness can you be deemed to have gained God. In your belief of God, you must seek this goal. This is the duty of each of you. Biology tells us that there have been more primitive forms of life before us, and if we don't run this beautiful planet, there will be more developed creatures after us. But the evolution of which we are a part is not just the development of ever more complex living bodies. It is also the slow emergence of even the hater knows not 'tis himself he hates. The lover knows not 'tis himself he loves. My rival's downfall is my own disgrace. I look on my enemy and see Jesus' face. Whenever you have the chance, laugh as much as you can. By this, all the rigid knots in your body will be loosened, but to laugh superficially is not enough. Your whole being must be united with laughter, both inwardly and outwardly. If someone genuinely wants God and nothing but God, they curry God's scupplements in their own heart. They need no printed book. In whichever direction you may turn your gaze, you will find one eternal, indivisible being manifested. If you sit with all doors and windows closed, how can you see the path? Open the door and step out. The path will become visible. Once on the way, you will meet other wayfarers who will advise and guide you as to the path. Your job is to muster whatever strength you have to get underway. Thereafter, help is assured. God is. Whatever you behold is nothing but a manifestation of Him. Once you know Him and live in Him, there is an end to all your poorness and sufferings. You then realize supreme bliss, eternal joy. Strive hard, therefore, to realize Him. In your innermost heart, you know that you are free. That is why it is your nature to yearn for freedom. Try to make the best use of every precious moment, being ever intent on the realization of your own self. No 2 days pass alike. Do not allow yourself to be overcome by despair. Have complete trust in Him in spite of everything. Kindle the inner flame and let it illumine your life and the world. This is the supreme purpose of human striving. The highest education is that which does not merely give us information, but makes our life in harmony with all existence. If you are in a state of reaction, anyone or anything can take charge of your life. Conscious response is the way forward. Real love and attraction. What is ordinarily called love is not true love, but attraction through delusion. Real love cannot exist between individuals. How can one get pure love from that, which by its very nature is impure, namely the individual? Again and again it happens that people come to this body saying, "My love for such and such a person is true love," not worldly love. They are deceiving themselves. Love for that which is mortal is invariably moha, attraction through delusion, and leads to death. Quite obviously so. Have you not noticed how, when you find it impossible to get the object of your love, you either wish to kill it or to die yourself? Whereas prima, the love of God, takes you to the death of death, to immortality. Best advice, save money every week. Doesn't matter how much, just save. Listen to your parents' advice. At the end of the day, they are the only ones who want the best for you. Choose your friends wisely. You are the product of your environment. Learn to be alone and independent. It's a skill few master. Educate yourself. Read, read, read. Be healthy and look after your body. Don't wait for someone to love you. Learn to love yourself first. You'll be okay. Who am I? Once you sit down and ponder seriously over this question, you will discover that all book learning that you have crammed into your brain and all the practical experience that you have gained in active life are not of the slightest help in solving this question. The more consistently one seeks the fellowship of the spiritually minded, the greater will be the benefit. If you are sincere in all the elements of your being, to the very cells of your body, and if your whole being integrally wants the divine, you are sure of victory, but for nothing less than that. That is what I call being sincere. Life doesn't allow for us to go back and fix what we have done wrong in the past, but it does allow for us to live each day better than our last. Loaning someone your strength instead of reminding them of their weakness. Hard truths about life. Everybody hurts. No one goes through this life without some kind of struggle. We are here to learn and grow, and a lot of that happens through struggle. No one cares. Whether you create the life you want or not, no one gives a shit. You have to do what you need to do for you. Life is not fair. You have to love yourself and not dwell and get stuck on that. Find a way to make your circumstances work for you, or work hard to create better circumstances. I forgive, but I also learn a lesson. I won't hate you, but I'll never get close enough for you to hurt me again. I can't let my forgiveness become foolishness. If someone is falling behind in life, you don't have to remind them. Believe me, they already know. If someone is unhealthy, they know. If someone is failing at work, they know. If someone is struggling in their relationships, with money, with self-image, they know. It's what consumes their thoughts each day. What you need to do for those who are struggling is not to reprimand, but encourage. Tell them what's good about their lives. Show them the potential that you see. Love them where they are. When we can't see clearly for ourselves, we need others to speak greatness over us. People don't need you to tell them what's wrong with their lives. They already know. They need you to reassure them that they can still make it right. One of the best message. As soon as you die, your identity becomes a body. People use phrases like bring the body, lower the body in the graveyard, etc. People don't even call you by your name whom you tried to impress whole life. Live a life to impress the Creator, not the creation. Take chances. Spend money on the things you love. Laugh till your stomach hurts. Dance even if you are too bad at it. Pose stupidly for photos. Be childlike moral. Death is not the greatest loss in life. Loss is when life dies inside you while you are alive. I hope you realize that when your heart was breaking, it was breaking open. When you were betrayed was when you learned the massive value of trust. When you thought you couldn't go on but did, you broke through your own limitations. When your dream dissolved before your very eyes, it meant that it was only an illusion. But from now, where you are and with what you have learned, you have the capacity and wisdom to love, trust, and live your life better than you could ever imagine. Do it for all of the past versions of you who deserved better, but did not yet know their true value yet. What is my relationship to nature? Would I kill a baby seal? Would I destroy human beings, calling them enemies? Would I destroy nature as man is doing now? We are destroying the earth, the air, the sea, everything because we don't feel responsible. Why can't we be simple about all this? Life is very complex. It's terribly complex. All our relationships are complex. Society is getting more and more and more complex. And apparently we can't be simple enough to look at all this with clear, simple eyes. What I said was, there is no new life unless you die to yesterday. That's all. That's a simple fact. If you want to discover something totally new, you have to abandon all the old. So we are asking a most fundamental question. Why do human beings who have lived on this earth for so many millennia, who have done extraordinary things technologically, who have brought about good health for people, we have done the most incredible things externally, but inwardly we are savages? Forgive me for using that word. We are fighting each other, even in our most intimate relationships. So how can one have external peace in the world, pax in terris, if one is not peaceful in oneself? We never answer that question. We are always trying to bring changes in the outer, but we never ask of ourselves why we live this way, perpetually in conflict. By belonging to a religious organization with its dogmas, beliefs, creeds, or by being one of these new dogmatic nationalists, you hope to realize God, truth, or human happiness. But how can the mind comprehend reality if it is twisted by beliefs, prejudices, dogmas, and fears? Only when these limitations are dissolved can there be truth. Do not preconceive what is, and then adjust to that conception your wants. Not knowing, you believe, but to know is not to know. To know is within the tiny field of time, and the mind that says, I know, is bound by time, and so cannot possibly understand that which is. There is a catastrophic mess in the world. The wars, the absurdity of nationalism, class and color prejudice and economic barriers, and the utter lack of goodwill and love. All this can be lastingly transformed only if you begin with yourself. Sorrow is rooted in self-pity, and to understand means attention to something without contradicting it. Abraham Siraj. So now there must first be a ruthless operation on all self-pity. I do not know if you have observed how sorry for yourself you become. For example, when you say, I am lonely. The moment there is self-pity, you have provided the soil in which sorrow tales root. However much you may justify your self-pity, rationalize it, polish it, cover it up with ideas, it is still there, festering deep within you. So a man we would understand. Sorrow must begin by being free of this brutal, self-centered, egotistic triviality which is self-pity. You may feel self-pity because you have a disease, or because you have lost someone by death, or because you who not fulfilled yourself and are therefore frustrated. But whatever its cause, self-pity is the mot of sormu. And when or not you are free of self-pity, you can look at sorrow without either worshiping it or escaping from it, or giving it a sublime spiritual significance, such as saying that you must suffer to find God, which is utter nonsense. It is only the dull, stupid mind that puts up with sorrow. So there must be no acceptance of sorrow whatsoever and no denial of it. When you are free of self-pity, you have deprived sorrow of all the sentimentality, all the emotionalism that springs from self-pity. Then you are able to look at sorrow with complete attention. I feel that meditation is as important as taking a bath, or having a meal, or seeing the beauty of the mountains and the shallowness of the mind. It is as important as earning a livelihood. If you do not know how to meditate rightly, you have missed a great deal. The enriching, completely beautiful and splendid awakening of life. Our bodies are being misused as our brains. Have you watched your own bodies? That is, our bodies are an extraordinary instrument, most intricate anatomically, how through long centuries of millennia upon millennia, our bodies have been prepared through evolution. And it is the most astonishing machine, and how we neglect it. And each one of us knows this, and we neglect it. We disregard it. We never take proper exercise, yoga. Not to think of a monkey, a doctor advises a patient to take the prescribed medicine with only one condition. That condition is not to think of a monkey when he takes the medicine. Can the patient ever take the medicine? Will he not think of the monkey whenever he tries not to do so? So also, when people try to give up thoughts, their object is frustrated by their very attempt. I think there is a difference between dialectical questioning and dialogue. Dialectical questioning or investigation implies, according to the dictionary, to find the truth through opinions. That is the literal meaning of dialectical approach. Whereas dialogues are between two friends who know each other fairly well, know their vocabulary, the usage of words, and together, with a spirit of real inquiry, find truth by inquiry, not by asserting opinions. So it is up to you to choose which you want, either through opinions to investigate if there is truth, which I question very much because opinions imply prejudices, personal idiosyncrasies, and so on. Whereas dialogue implies that both of us are deeply interested in a problem, we are not prejudiced, we don't want a certain definite answer, but together we are investigating to find the truth of the problem. You see the difference? You are always a guest on this earth and have the austerity of a guest. Arrival is death, and traveling is eternal. Real freedom is not something to be acquired, it is the outcome of intelligence. You cannot go out and buy freedom in the market. You cannot get it by reading a book or by listening to someone talk. Freedom comes with intelligence. We are all born with nothing, and we die with nothing. Our house is like a hotel, and so is our body. We'll have to move out of them both one day and leave them behind. Share this video if you love God. Subscribe this channel for more blessings.